What's up, guys? I'm gonna preface this video with the fact that my angle with this video is not to get attention or sympathy. I'm making this video for personal reflection. That's what this channel is for. It's when things happen in my life, I post about them on this channel because I need to talk myself through them. It's a story I want to tell. That's not what this video is, though. This is something that happened in my life that is I need to talk myself through, and I'm doing it on this channel for me. If I wanted attention and I wanted sympathy, I'd post it on my channel with 1,000 subscribers, not on my channel with 40. I don't know how long this video is going to be. It might be 10 minutes, it might be 5, it might be an hour. I have no idea, but fuck, where am I going? Yeah, I don't want attention, sympathy. That's not my goal. This is for self-reflection, and for something for me to look back on and watch again later. But today has been the worst day of my life, probably. I would say I've had some pretty shit days, plenty of them, but this one's pretty bad. Basically, my dad passed away this morning. It was completely unexpected. Absolutely no indication that it was gonna happen, and I'm going through it a little bit. I don't even like. He was super healthy guy. Nobody saw it coming. Basically what happened, I guess I'll go through kind of how the day looked, and then I'll talk about my dad, because I love bragging about the dude, because he's the most incredible person I've ever met, and he doesn't take credit for anything, so I have to make sure he gets the credit he deserves, if that makes sense. So today, it was my sister's first day of school. She's in high school. She's a sophomore in high school. She's almost 16. And so I was asleep because I'm a lazy fuck, and it was 7 in the morning, and I had probably only gone to bed 2 hours before. But, my mom took my sister to school, and then we just got a cat. So the cat had like a vet appointment because it's like a baby cat, and that's what, you have to, take him to the vet or whatever. So, my mom took my sister to school, came back, got the cat, took her to the appointment. She woke me up. She's like, hey, it was like 10:30 at this point. She's like, I'm taking the cat to an appointment. Like, just so you know, that's where I'm going. I'm like, all right. So she takes the cat to the vet or whatever. It was probably before, it would have been 9:30 probably, because she probably got back to the house at a little before 11. It would have been. So it was probably a little before 10. She left, took the cat to the vet, woke me up. Yo, I'm leaving. And then she got back, and she called. I was down in the basement. I was cubing. I was learning some L5Es, doing 5x5. That's what I'm doing right now. So I was cubing. She yells down to the basement. She's like, "Yo, Elliot, come up here." She didn't say it like that, but that was the gist of it. She's like, "Elliot, come up here." So I come up. She's like, "Dad's missing." I'm like, "What do you mean he's missing?" She's like, "Well, he didn't show up for work," which my dad, at his place of employment, he's the boss, right? So he has to show up. It's super unlike him not to show up. He's the biggest workaholic I've ever met. He'd go to work if he had 105 fever. He never skipped work. So that's already like super, like I was like, ooh, that's like weird. She's like, "You didn't show up for work." I got a call from Kevin, which is a dude he works with. Kind of his right-hand man type guy. Kevin's always right there. So, I got a call from Kevin. Dad's not showing to work. He has a meeting in 10 minutes. Hasn't showed up. He's not answering calls. Like, he's missing. And my parents are married, but my dad lives generally apart from us. He spends a lot of time in Indiana. I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is like northeast. He spends a lot of time in Indianapolis, which is about 2 hours south, central. Right in the center of the state. So she's like, he was in Indy, and she's like, I'm gonna go down to his Indy place. Like, I gotta check on him. And then she also, like, on her way up there, so she leaves, and she's like, "You're in charge of picking up Libby to school, taking her to," she had a doctor's appointment right after school. She's like, "You're in charge of picking up Libby. Libby's my sister. You're in charge of picking up Libby, take her to the doctor." That's what I'm doing. So she goes up to Indy. She calls me. It's a 2-hour drive. She calls me maybe an hour into the drive. She's like, I got in contact with my dad. My dad's next door neighbor in Indy. she got in contact with them. That neighbor said that all the lights were on the house, but she couldn't see anybody. So it's super weird for him to like leave all the lights on. He's like pretty frugal guy. He turns all of it off. Don't want to waste any money on the electricity or whatever. That's weird. So she's like, yeah, the neighbor called like a welfare check on the house. So the cops are going to show up and do a welfare check, even before I get there. And I'm like, all right, well, just let me know. When she called, I was out. I was picking up some lunch because, I was hungry. And, yeah, so she calls me. She's like, welfare check's going to happen. So I'm like, all right, well, keep me posted. What else am I going to say? So she gets to the condo, and I don't get a call for a little while, but I knew there was probably something going on because, I was already super worried because really strange situation. Like, my dad's missing. Like, that doesn't happen. And I watch a lot of true crime, so my mind obviously jumps to the worst. And so I'm, like, pretty worried about the whole thing. I'm trying to keep my mind off of it. That's what I do. I cube. And I knew things were bad because my grandparents show up to my house. My mom's two parents show up to my house. And they're like, yeah, we're going to stay here till your mom gets back. And I'm like, okay. And then, no, they said that. And then my mom was on the phone with them, or she wasn't on the phone yet, I guess. My grandma was like, I'm going to call your mom. She needs to talk to you. I'm like, okay. But her hand, dude, it was crazy. She was like, she was like shaking trying to call my mom. Like, I had to like take the phone and call my mom because she was like too shaky to even like press the right buttons and everything. So I'm like, I know something's going on. And I call my mom, pick up the phone. She's like, Elliot, Dad passed away. And I just like collapse into I was like standing. I was over like our dining room table, and I was standing, and I just fold into the chair like just like this, and I couldn't believe it. He died in the kitchen. He was in the kitchen of his little condo. And one thing, I guess one piece of information I did have the last time we'd heard from him was he sent a business-related email to that guy Kevin at about 3:30 in the morning. So that was the last time anybody heard from him. And so he was at the kitchen table, and he was dead. The cops broke in, like they had to like break into. There's two doors to that condo. There's like the front door, and there's like a kind of like a almost like a it's not really on the side, but it's kind of like a side door, and it's like a glass door. So they broke that one because that's easier to break. So they broke in, found my dad. He was dead, and that's what happened. She told me. I broke down. I don't cry very often at all. I didn't cry on the phone. I haven't cried in front of my mom still. I don't know why. It's just I don't like her seeing me like that. But I hung up immediately, just started bawling my eyes out. Grandparents are right there. They're also inconsolable, and it was horrible. Like, that was what happened, and we had to pick up my sister from school. After we got off the phone, we had like 5 minutes before we had to leave, go get my sister. Her school ends at 2:30. She doesn't know any of this is happening. I texted her before I knew really what was going on. I texted her, hey, Libby, I'm going to be picking you up today. But she always has her phone on silent, so she didn't even see the notification probably. She didn't probably see it until she got out of school, because then she turns her notifications off or whatever. She's a good kid. She doesn't have her phone out in class because she's not a delinquent. So she had no clue what was going on. So, but I'm sure she kind of got the idea when car pulls up. I text her again. I'm like, hey, change of plans. I'm in Grandpa's car. I'm with Grandma and Grandpa. We're all here. We're picking you up. And she gets in the car, and I really try to keep high spirits until I really have to tell her what's going on. So I'm like, I try to be cheerful. I'm like, hey, Libby, and but as I saw her walking up, my mom wanted me the one to tell her, which makes sense. So as I'm walking up, or as she's walking up, I quick call my mom, get her on the phone. And I'm like, hey, Libby, how was school? And she's like, oh, it was good. I met my new teachers. And I'm like, hey, I got mom on the phone. Like, she wants to talk to you. And Libby's like, okay. And so I handed her the phone. Mom breaks the news. And that was really tough to see. My sister's one of my favorite people in the whole world. So seeing her in pain I don't like it. I don't like that at all. So that was, even seeing that just like was hard for me. My grandma like pulls over into the student lot to have this conversation, gets out of like the car line or whatever. And because it's a high school, they got like a student lot, kids drive. And that was, oh fuck, damn it, this is gonna be loud for a little bit. We have like some sort of air vent. I'm outside my house right now. That thing makes noise sometimes. I don't know why. So that's just gonna be there. You have to deal with it. Yeah. So that was what happened. And then we drove home. The car ride was just silent. Hear a pin drop. Like, nobody was saying anything. We were all just kind of like in disbelief. Again, it was totally unexpected. Like, he had no health issues that we knew of. Like, it was totally, we still don't know I have my theory as to what happened, but we still don't know. An autopsy is going to have to be done. They don't suspect foul play or anything. My guess is that he had a heart attack, because he wouldn't have died in his sleep. He wouldn't have been, my dad falls asleep on the couch, he'll fall asleep in his bed. He's not going to fall asleep at the kitchen counter. So I'm guessing he had a heart attack. Or a stroke. Like, those are the only things that like I can even think of that would maybe have happened. And me, I like to know a reason. I'm trying to reason through it. That's what I'm saying in my head until we get an actual autopsy. He probably had a heart attack. He's 45, not like an old guy, not overweight. He's 5'7", 150, short king, but good health. And what was I even saying? Yeah, so that's what I think happened. But we drive home, complete silence. We get home. Libby's like, I'm gonna go on a walk, because that's what she does, and that's what I do too. So I'm like, I'm gonna go on a walk too. And we go on a walk. We go different ways. We both clearly just want to be alone and think about shit. But we walk. She walks to her friend's house. She stays over there. I just walk around the neighborhood. I end up running into my old lab partner from chemistry, Camden Cooper. He actually has lore. He has Elliot Perkins' YouTube lore, actually. He was the judge on my 12.3 TPS pyramid solve. I brought him to a competition once. Good friend of mine, but I run into him in the street. He was on his way back from school. It was like a little while after school by this point. I'd been walking for 2 hours. He was probably on his way back he plays sports, probably on his way back from practice. And he runs into me. He like honks his horn, and I have my headphones on, so I kind of like think I hear a car honk. So I look back, like, what the fuck is that crazy guy doing? And then Camden's funny. He like realizes that I kind of heard him, but not really. So he spins back around and he starts waving at me. I'm like, hey Camden. So I got to talk to him. He's a very upbeat guy. Talking to him, like, I'm really grateful I ran into him. That made my day just a little better. But after that, I go home, and my mom at this point was still in Indianapolis. She was waiting for her and Kevin, the dude from my dad's work. He drove all the way up to Fort Wayne soon after my mom did, to come and help or whatever. They were waiting for somebody to get there to like board up the door that the police like shattered to get into the house or whatever. So she was still there. She got back at maybe 7 p.m. But yeah, she got back. A bunch of like her friends came over. We had people at our house, which I don't really like. I kind of tried to keep to myself. But yeah, it's just crazy to me. I'm never gonna talk to him again. Fucking ridiculous, man. Talk to your parents, man. It's like you literally never know. I would have thought this dude would have lived to be 90, and nope. His 46th birthday is in 2 weeks, so died at just under 46. Can happen to anybody. Talk to your parents. You never know when the last time is you're gonna see him. The last time I talked to my dad was Saturday night, when I got back home I went to Imagination Station A, the competition. I got back home and I talked to him. I remember we got these like really cool like wooden medals, and I got a few podiums at that competition. I put him in 3 events. So I was showing him the medals because I thought like they were really cool. You know, the wooden medals, like I thought they were really neat, and he thought so too. So I was showing him the wooden medals. And then it was like, it was 9 p.m. My dad, he wakes up super early, wakes up like 4 or 5 in the morning most days because he'll go on a run before work and then he'll go to work. So I showed him the medals. I got home kind of late because I had dinner at a place called Frickers. It was super good. I went with Braden and Natapong at the comp. That was really fun. Shout out to those guys. But yeah, I got home late, showing the medals. He's like, that's really cool. We talked for a second. He's like, yeah, this is 9 p.m. He's like, yeah, Elliot, I'm going to bed. I'm like, all right, see you later. I never did. He left for Indianapolis that morning. He was supposed to come back home today. And it's just crazy because in my mind when that happened, it's like, yeah, I'm going to see my dad in a couple days, like business as usual. I'm used to not seeing my dad a lot because he does work a lot. He travels a lot. So, to me, not seeing my dad for a few days, that's no concern at all, right? It's literally been that way my entire life. I've never had my dad at home my whole life. That's never been a thing for me. My mom has been the one that's like, they both obviously played a huge part in my development as a person, but my mom has always been the one that's there, if that makes sense. If there is a silver lining, I guess, I'm glad it happened while I'm home in Indiana. I think I would have taken that call a lot worse had I been in New York and already not seen him for months. Like, that would have been horrible. It's already horrible, but it would have been even worse, right? It would have been so much worse. So I guess if there's any silver lining, every cloud has the silver lining. And this cloud, that was the silver lining. Is at least I was home for it. Because I also would have felt so bad if I was in New York and not there to... I mean, my mom was totally inconsolable. I took this, I think, a lot better than my mom and my sister. I mean, I'm not taking it that well, but better than them. So I'm glad I'm here for them and I can help out, wherever I need to or whatnot. That was just, you literally never know. But this next segment of the video, I want to talk about my dad and why he was literally my favorite person in the entire world. One of the things is my dad, he's the only person I've ever met, that I'm like, that guy is super similar to me. Because I'm a very unique person, I think. I have a lot of weird quirks and weird things that I do and weird tendencies that I get from him. And nobody else is like him. He's a workaholic, 100%, works more than anybody I've ever met. And that's not an exaggeration. He works like 80-hour weeks all the time. Especially recently, he was moving his business from like one company to another type thing. And that took I was in college while this was happening, so I didn't witness it, but I hear he was working 95-hour weeks. I think the stress probably contributed with that. The move had just finished it. He finished that process about a month ago, but still, that was a super big thing. I know that took a lot out of him. I mean, during that whole moving process, he literally called me for 5 minutes in college. He was just bogged, right? But yeah, he's super, super hard worker. When I was born, or not quite when I was born, but when my parents first got married, my dad was not super established in a career yet. My dad dropped out of college. And he was working. He worked a few jobs after that. He was a manager at Kroger for a while, it was called Scott's. Scott's is a local grocery store in my area that ended up getting bought out by Kroger. If you from the Midwest, you know Kroger. So he managed Scott's for a little while, a department manager. I forget what department, but he was a department manager. And then he basically, he always tells me he just got lucky. I don't know exactly what the certification is. I think it's called a CFA, but the certification to become a financial advisor currently requires a bachelor's degree. It might even require a master's, but when my dad got into it, it didn't. You just had to study for a test and pass it. So he studied for this test. He used a lot of resources written by a professor at NYU, which is actually a super big reason that I wanted to go to NYU. because my dad always talks so highly about a professor named, why can I not think, I'm blanking on the name. Aswath Damodaran. My dad's like favorite dude of all time, professor at NYU. The dean of valuation is what they call him. So that's big reason I wanted to go to NYU is because of that. So my dad self-studied for this exam, literally fucking aced it, by the way. You only need a 70 to pass. He outdid himself. Became a financial advisor and has done incredibly well with that. He's college dropout. He's been in Forbes. He's taught, like, he's been a guest professor at prestigious universities like UChicago recently, talking about like trading strategies. He had become massive in his field from a much lower standard of education than 99% of people that do what he does. And to me, that is so impressive. He never gives himself any credit for that. He doesn't like to talk about it, but he's literally, I shit you not, one of the best of the best. This isn't just me bragging. Like, it's straight up. You can look him up, Ryan Perkins. He's fantastic. And he did that when I was a little kid. I remember him. He was a bit of a pudgier dude. A lot of men in my family get fat. It's a genetic thing, partially probably. A lot of men in my family get fat, and I think he saw that happening to his dad. His dad's a very big guy. My grandpa Steve, and I think he saw that happening to his dad and to, his uncles and things like that, and was like, man, that's gonna happen to me if I don't change something. So he started running. He ran his first marathon around the same time my sister was born, so I would have been 3, and he completely took off with that. He got addicted to running. We both have very addictive personalities. That's another thing that is very similar with my dad and I. And he started running. He ran, I don't know the exact number. I think he said it was either 3,000 or 4,000 miles just this year. He wasn't doing that all the way back in 2010, but he ran a marathon. He got really into that. He worked his way up to doing triathlons. He taught himself how to swim in his 30s to do triathlons. He ended up doing Ironmans, which is like a super long triathlon. Basically, you'd swim 2.5 miles, then you bike 112, then you run a marathon. He would do shit like that. It takes like 9 hours, and he would do that. That's crazy. He's run 100-mile races, 50 milers, 100 milers. He was in the process of starting to train for another 100-miler that he was going to do in the mountains in Colorado. Shit like that. All while working insane hours. It's starting to sound like a way more impressive version of like what I've talked about with what I did in high school, right? Just he was a runner, so I think, but part of that I think was a little bit of a flaw, because he looked at him running and he was like, I'm obviously in great health because I can do all these incredible athletic feats. He never saw a doctor, ever. He didn't even have a doctor. I don't think he went to a doctor's appointment the entire time I've been alive. I'm almost certain of it. If he was sick, he'd thug it out. He never went to the hospital, never went to a doctor. So if there was a health issue that caused his death, he would have known it. He wouldn't have known about it. And there's totally stuff like that can happen, because there was a guy in my high school, or not in my high school, but he was in a high school near my high school, and he had a lot of friends in my high school, so I totally heard about it. It was a quarterback at Carroll High School. I'm blanking on his name, but I want to mention the position in school so you can look him up if you want to. I think his name was Owen something, but same deal. He was super athletic, never got worried about his health or whatever, and they found out he had cancer, and he died like a couple days later. It could have been something like that. I don't know yet. I'll know in a few weeks when the autopsy's done, but I don't know yet. He didn't go to the doctor. That could have been part of it. Another super impressive thing he did, actually, when they found him passed away, he was practicing card counting, which is something he picked up late 30s, early 40s. Basically, you can give yourself a statistical advantage, like an edge against the house in blackjack, by keeping track of what cards have already come out of the deck. It's legal, but casinos don't like when you do it, because when you do it, you can guarantee that you're going to make money in the long run. It's something that I'm currently learning how to do. It was basically something my dad required me to learn. He's like, yeah, it's free money, bro. Like, you gotta learn it. But but he was practicing card counting when he passed away. That's something you would do like at our kitchen table. I'd come up from the basement about to go to bed at like 3 in the morning, and I'd see him counting cards, and he'd be like, "What are you doing up? And what are you doing up? Fair point." And then we'd go our separate ways, you know. So in his 40s, he got super into card counting and blackjack, and he's made, not that he needs to make extra money, but he's running up playing blackjack just because he can, because he's fucking awesome. Like, he was preparing for this weekend. He was gonna go to Vegas to run it up some more, and he was really excited about that. He was telling me about that on Friday. He was like, "Yeah, I'm going to Vegas, gonna meet up with some card counting buddies." You know, what those guys do is they pool their money so they can bet even more and make even more. And he was practicing for that. So that's another cool thing he did. So he had all these hobbies, all these talents, and super humble. Never talked about any of it. He was also just an incredibly funny guy. Super smart, by the way. He's the smartest person I've ever met, and he will refute that. He always tells me I'm smarter than him. He tells me I'm the smartest person he's ever met. But like, he's super intelligent guy. I mean, he made himself into something incredible out of very little. Unlike me, you know, because of the position that he put me in, he did not come from like a wealthy family. He made everything on his own, which I have so much undying respect for. And he's just, I just like to brag about him because he never, I mean, he got the chance to, but he never did. He was super humble. And my dad, he was super funny. Something he did that my mom really hated was when he was trying to explain things to himself or explain things to others. He thought it was funnier, and this is gonna sound bad, he thought it was funnier if he did it in an Indian accent. Because he told me that his smartest clients were all Indian, and when an Indian talks, you have to listen because they're smarter than you. So whenever he was trying to sound smart, he would talk in an Indian accent. He'd do funny shit like that. He had all these weird little like things that he would get really interested in. Like, ask him anything about nematodes or the country of Bangladesh. He would get like really into these like random things. Just like me, you know, and it's just super fun to watch, to have a parent that's, because I think a lot of people, when they get in their career, they stop learning, right? Because they have a job, they have a stable income, they don't feel the need to learn. He was always educating himself. He didn't even listen to music. Always had a book playing in his ear. Like when he would go on long runs, always listening to a book, learning new trading strategies, things like that. Listen to podcasts about politics, about finance, about whatever else he was interested in, sports. He watched football, a big Colts fan, as am I. That's something I had a lot of respect for, always continuing his education, and that's something that I really hope to do in my life, and I've learned the importance of that from him. He definitely had things that he wasn't good at, which I think is super important to recognize in yourself, and he was super self-aware. He was a really bad speller. Couldn't spell. He would poke fun at himself at that. He wasn't handy at all. Blue collar work, he would have totally failed. He can hang a picture and stop there. He was a surgical picture hanger though. He would like get out the fucking protractor and make sure that shit was even. Like, dude, he was good at hanging pictures, but his motto was always, pretend I don't have arms, how do we fix this? Because he just knew he couldn't fix it because he wasn't a handy guy. He could admit his weaknesses, and a lot of people can't do that, and that's something I had a ton of undying respect for. He always had the mentality of like the fact that no matter what was going on wrong, he could not he could fix it, but it'd be fine, you know. He'd get through it. He was pretty hard-headed in that way. Like there's no challenge that was too big for him, and that's something that I've tried to carry on in my life. In his mind, I think being Ryan Perkins was an unfair advantage, and he knew that. He knew he could take on anything, and he absolutely did. And that's something that that's a mindset that I try to have for myself, and it's a lot of these mindsets that I have like that I wouldn't have gotten without my dad, and seeing him succeed, thinking in similar ways. I just can't believe he's gone. I don't know if I've even said everything I want to say, but it's getting cold outside, and I probably need to go to bed. Probably gonna end this one. But yeah, today was completely a nightmare, the worst day of my life, and I really have no other words. If you've listened to all this, I don't know why, but I appreciate it. I mean, this video is just for me. I don't give a fuck if anybody watches it. Just like half the other videos on my channel, this will end up unlisted probably in a few weeks after I posted it. But yeah, rest easy, Dad.